believes in using this wealth of knowledge to share his story with others, and has been a featured speaker at numerous industry events, as well as the Howard Partridge Roundtable. And I actually was able to hear Alen speak at a Zig Ziglar event. It's been like a couple of years ago, and this is a true story. Alen spoke with a couple of other speakers, and including Tom Ziglar, who is Zig Ziglar's son. And the room was not only captivated, the standing ovation was incredible. And at that time I thought, Alen needs to be speaking in front of a whole lot of people, because he is funny, he's humorous, he brings so much with his story to the table. And so I'm gonna attempt to say something to him in Irish, and I'm probably gonna mess it up. I'm gonna do my best that I can do. Keo Mila Folecha. Keo Mila Folecha. It's close to 100,000 welcomes in Irish. Welcome, Alen. I'm so glad that you're here, and it's your turn to impact the room. Take it away, Carmina.
Alen, I'm excited to talk to you, and you're in a unique position during this pandemic. You've got to motivate us, but unlike many of us, we're the lay workers that are looking for the boss for answers. You're the boss that's got to have the answers. So you're in a unique position.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
talk to us for a moment. How, I know everything has had to change and change so quickly. So how are you able to communicate with your team, keep them motivated? You know, of course, there's the fear of, am I going to lose my job? There's the fear of uncertainty, just not knowing what's next. So how are you able to be that voice of reason for all of those people that are under you?
Well, great. Well, first of all, I'm really happy to be here. Faye, I appreciate your attempt at Céad Míle Fáilte. And I would like to say back to you, Gurav Mila Mahagut, which is 100,000 thank yous. So, so first, your question is, how am I communicating during this strange time? So I think we got ahead of it early. We stopped in-person meetings about a month ago, and in order to keep our people safe. And so one of the big responsibilities I feel right now is we're sending technicians into people's homes, and you know, we're putting our technicians at risk to a certain degree and our customers at risk if we're not careful. So the first thing we did was said no in-person meetings. Now, just to give you some perspective on that, we went from 4 to 5 meetings a week in person with technicians to 0 meetings per week. So obviously my concern was, you know, how are they going to react to that? How is our 200 people going to react to this here in Houston? And so I'm a firm believer that if you don't tell people what's going on, they're going to set their own agenda. They're going to start to believe what they think is the direction. They will make up their own mind about things, and sometimes that's not good. So really early on, I decided that we have to communicate more frequently than we could by communicating in person every morning. So we set up Microsoft Teams for each service manager to be able to communicate with his group of people every morning. And we're doing that. We're doing a 10 to 15 minute meeting every morning with our staff. And then as the CEO, I'm putting out a weekly video message to my staff, letting them know what's going on. And you know, one of the things we had to do was, we're a very performance-driven company. One of the things we had to do early on was we had to make a switch from, you know, worrying about budget to worrying about keeping people employed, which I was just saying to Faye before we came on the air that in 17 years of this business being in existence, we have never laid anybody off because of lack of work. And it's my goal and ambition to retire someday with that record intact. And so what I did was, in my first weekly video message, I made it very clear, hey, while it would be lovely to hit budget, the most important thing right now is to keep everybody working. So yes, I expect a fall off in business, but I absolutely believe that if we can fight to keep each other's jobs, that is a goal and a direction that everybody can get behind. So as a leader, my tendency is to always shoot my people straight. And so I got that message out early. Hey, we are now fighting for each other. It's not about finance anymore. It's not about budgets. It's not about any of that. It's about keeping our brothers and sisters working. And so I think that message has resonated really well with our people. And I'm a firm believer that my 20 years of managing has taught me that there's nothing like the truth. The truth motivates people. People can get behind the truth. And when people know that you're always going to tell them the truth, they don't have to spend time second guessing the message. So we've been very, very direct about what's going on, how good things are, how bad things are. Fortunately, we've been able to get through this so far with keeping all the jobs intact and keeping everybody working, but making sure the communication is frequent and making sure the communication is honest. We don't cry wolf, we tell it like it is, and I think people can get behind that. So that's been our focus. Our focus has been to communicate often, to communicate honestly, and to not sugarcoat anything that's out there either. So we're being very direct with communication right now, and you know, interestingly, either every Thursday or Friday when I put out my weekly CEO message, I get 7, 8, 10 responses back saying, thank you for that. We appreciate your leadership. People are craving leadership right now. You see, I have this belief that it doesn't matter what's going on in the White House. It matters what's going on in your house. So you take care of your house and everything is going to be okay. So, you know, we have to understand that our people are getting most of their news from the TV media, who may or may not have an agenda behind what they're delivering. So they want truth. And, you know, I want my weekly message to be a message of truth to them about the thing that matters most to them, which is their house. Can they keep providing for their house? You know, it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you fall on. Ultimately, what matters is what's happening to your family. And we're very, very serious about keeping our employees' families intact, keeping them healthy, keeping them, you know, financially stable. And that's, you know, when somebody comes on board here with Abacus, we have, we make them 3 promises. And the 3 promises are, we'll make you a better at your job, better technician, better accountant, whatever it might be. We will, if you stay with us for any length of time, we'll leave you in better financial condition when you leave than when you started with us. And last but not least, we'll make you a better person. And that usually raises an eyebrow. And the way we achieve that is by communicating with them so well that they become better communicators with their wives, with their husbands, with their brothers, with their sisters, with their children. And so that's our goal. We have this focus around communication, even when there's not a pandemic out there. So, I mean, to answer your question, what we've really done is we've continued our intensity around communicating well and communicating often.
I love it. I love it. Those 3 things right there. But any business owner, if they can adapt those 3 things, I think they'll have some amazing success. And I love how you were talking about just communicating and being honest and being truthful. I feel like I passed because you brought us right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But those were great things. So now I want to turn the spotlight on yourself, because again, you're in that position where you're having to give the communication and to motivate the people. How do you keep yourself motivated? You can come before them in a positive manner.
Yeah, you know, I think motivation is an interesting thing. Zig Ziglar, my favorite motivational speaker of all time, said, motivation is like bathing. It doesn't last, and that's why we need it every day. And so I think most motivations happens in the 6-inch space between your 2 ears. It's what you're telling yourself that will either motivate you or demotivate you. And so I believe in a healthy diet of positive information. So one of the things I noticed, I happen to be fairly self-aware. And one of the things I noticed very early on was I was letting the bad information dragged me down. I was starting to feel worried. I was starting to feel scared. And, you know, I'm responsible. Obviously, my first responsibility is to my family, but my second responsibility is to 700 or so families across Texas that, you know, I'm their CEO. So I made the decision early on to block out bad news. And so instead of listening to talk radio coming to work every morning, I listen to podcasts or I listen to music. But I'm not having an 8-hour constant diet of news, bad news. It's all bad news right now. So I watch one newscast a day. I watch the 6 p.m. newscast when I go home. That gives me information. I can digest that and then I can move on. But I'm absolutely trying to stay away from negativity. You see, Gandhi has had this saying, the famous Gandhi had this saying, never let anyone walk through your mind with dirty feet. And I love that saying because, you know, there's a certain section of the population that love to spread bad news, right? I mean, we all know somebody. I guarantee you're thinking of somebody right now that whenever there's bad news, they can't wait to run down the hall and tell you, hey, guess what's happening now? We have to wear masks, whatever it might be. Look, I just think to myself, bad seed, and I push them away, and not physically, but I push them away because I don't need that in my life. So you know, I want to have grit, and grit is fueled by passion and purpose. And I'm very clear about my passion and purpose. So I think a positive diet of good news or a positive diet of motivational talk, and there's literally dozens of podcasts out there where you can get good motivational messages and internalize them. And really that's what I use for my material for when I'm giving my 3 or 4 minute weekly talk to my staff every week is, hey, you know, what did I get this week in podcasts that I can share with the team that might be valuable to them? And so I'm just a big believer in stay motivated, try to block out the negativity. You see, what you put in is going to equal what you push out. And so if all you're listening to is bad news, the tendency is going to be to push out bad news. And we don't want that. People want hope. I want to be an agent of hope. We don't want to worry people any more than they're already worried. Look, we got to be realistic. We're facing one of the biggest challenges in the world ever. And we all know that. But we don't need to be feeding that to people 8 hours a day. Let's tell them some good news and let's tell them what's going on. And, you know, let's figure out what is it we truly want right now? What is it we truly want right now? Because if you can go after that and focus on what you really want, then you'll stop focusing on the bad news. So I'm really working on trying to have a diet of positive information while not ignoring the issue that's out there, which is one of the biggest ones we've ever faced. But put some good stuff in. Good stuff, it's like your body. Good stuff in, good stuff out. Bad stuff in, bad stuff out. So, you know, my encouragement to anybody listening to this podcast today is let's get some good information in, and let's be an agent of hope, not a prophet of doom. And I think that will help everybody around you. And you'll be more popular when you're not spreading negativity, right?
I love it. I love it. That is really, man, even for myself, not being a business owner, not being over employees and things like that, there's still principles that you shared that I can apply to day to day and the great things that I'm trying to accomplish. And I need you to do one favor. And again, I'm gonna call you Pastor Alen because I think that's a good name for you. Tell us how we can stay home in your native language. How would you say that? Stay home.
How would we stay home? Well, tiok is house. So okay. I'm not sure how to say stay. But anyway, stay in your tiok, stay in your house. That's
that works perfect. We'll take it.
All right.
Faye, I tell you, that was I truly enjoyed Pastor Allen. He really blessed us, and I know I'm calling him, but he really gave us some wonderful tips that I think are just going to be beneficial and definitely motivated me.
You know,
Well,
I heard Alan speak a few times. One of the things that I told everybody is, I promise you today, you will leave with something that you didn't have when you came. And I knew that I was saying that, I was making a statement because I know Alen O'Neill and I know him as a speaker. And if you all want to get a little more of Alan speaking, go to our website and you can see a clip on his page of him presenting at one of the Ziegler events that he was at. And the website is the Hill Agency, intl.com, and click on Alen O'Neill. I promise you, you'll be blessed. So now I'm going to start calling him Pastor Allen as well, because he preached, didn't he? He gave us something to take home. Alan, thank you so much. Thank you,
Faye.
you so much for all
And
that you do for me too. Thank you, Alan.
Last thing I want to say is we will get through this. We will come out stronger, and you know, retain some hope, because we are going to come out of this stronger and wiser and more community minded than we were going into it. So stay strong, everybody. We will get through this.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.